Hey, everybody, it's time for another wonderful edition of the Jersey Tales.
Hearing.
All right, so who's on tonight's show? Well, Jason's here.
Hello.
Todd's here.
Hi.
We've got Silox.
Howdy, howdy.
And it's me, Quido, or Red the Ram. Welcome, everyone, to the Jersey Tales Show. One team that I think has somehow magically won free agency. The stupid Squealers. And it hurts.
To be fair, by saying, and I quote, they won free agency, you mean they got a bunch of players that are decent for scraps.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the idea. That's how you win free agency, right?
It's a lot of prove-it deals, for sure.
I mean, like, so first off, I mean, I thought they were doing great when they got Russ. I was like, oh, well, hey, I mean, that's a pretty good deal because you're getting him for, what, veteran minimum? Broncos are picking up the tab on that. Like, yeah, like he's either going to be great or he's going to bust. And it's a fantastic gamble. I'm pretty sure at some point I said that would probably be a good location for the Steelers to pick him up. As much as I hated it for it to pay off. But then out of left field, what is that? That's Justin Fields music. It's not a controversy, like, because what they're planning on doing, because again, like if you look at the Fields agreement, because which this is the part that I am just shocked because, well, part of it I'm not shocked because the Bears doing something in a trade that doesn't properly benefit the organization. That's pretty on par for the Bears. The fact that the trade also significantly benefits the player was weird because apparently they had tons of offers for Fields and they went with Pittsburgh because that was the best chance for him to actually get to go out and play. And I'm like,
let's be real. They did not have tons of offers. Like, it's fairly obvious. It wasn't as big of a market as they said.
They said they had 4. Now, granted, of the 4, 3 of them could have been in the same same sphere that they're going to have to deal with, and getting them over to the Pittsburgh gets them out of their neighborhood, so to speak. But the part of the trade is they got him for basically what, a 6th round, right? Unless he plays 51% of the season.
Yeah, it's a 6th round, like conditional 4th round, I think.
Yeah. So the conditional 4th round is if he plays 51% of the season. So what I not what I think, what I know is going on is because they've already said it today and said it. Russ is going to be starting quarterback 1, and they just want Fields to sit behind Russ and be like, this guy knows how to win the Super Bowl. Learn from him. And I think it's great. I hate it because I think it's great, and I'm a Bengals fan, and it just hurts.
All I'm saying is that I think that all this is like fairly good in the sense that it's very low risk. Like these, you're you're not doing insane things like getting Russell Wilson for Broncos money, because if the Steelers did that, then they might as well just fucking nuke all of Pittsburgh.
Well, here's the thing: they are getting Russell Smith with Broncos money.
Well, yeah, with Broncos money. But I just also want to point out the fact that we get to see a Russell Wilson, Arthur Smith offense. We get to see that offense next year, which might be. I'm calling it now. It might be one of the funniest, worst offenses we have ever seen in our lifetimes. In which case,
Even
you're an
worse
eating
than Matt
tree.
Canada?
Oh yeah.
How's that even possible?
Did you
That's a take.
You saw what Arthur Smith did to your fucking team last year.
Yeah, but Matt Canada.
Okay, in defense, you see what Arthur Smith did when he had oh god, the guy, what was his name? Not Ryan Mallett. Ryan Tannehill in Tennessee.
Ryan Tannehill. He
might be better as an
revived
OC.
Tannehill's career.
Yeah, he might be better as an OC. I think you might be right
more-
on that. But I also want to have the
so
funny thing
prolonged.
of like, I just want to have the funny outcome of just having the worst Steelers season ever.
Yeah, I'm sure that's
no,
why.
stop. Like, let's not
That's
bring
the whole
pornography
deal.
into any of this now. Like,
I will say, yeah, I will say when it comes to this particular move, because like the big I guess winners, quote unquote, but I feel like that they're the reason why they're considered a winners is because they got 2 QBs that were like the most talked about during the offseason on such cheap deals for both for different reasons. I feel like the Fields trade is as what it is. It's because that things dried up very quickly, and we had the realization that Justin Fields was not really anyone's number one option, and that's a pretty clear reason why, and it's because of his consistency. There really wasn't a lot of consistency from Fields during his time in Chicago. Whether you blame that on the coaching staff or the number of coaching staffs that he has had during his time in Chicago, or the lack of weapons that he had outside of DJ Moore in his final year in Chicago, it just comes to the conclusion that not a lot of people have a lot of faith that Fields is that dude. And the thing about it is the fact that it's good for the Steelers because he is a good long-term option, because I don't think anyone expects Russell Wilson to play longer than maybe 3 years max.
Well, he's on a 1-year deal anyway. And
yeah,
let me throw this hypothetical to you. So what if next year at the end of the season, Justin Fields is setting the world on fire, and yet Chicago is still a dumpster fire, as Chicago tends to be? Are you looking at their current starting quarterback that they've used? Because there's some top tier quarterback talent this year, and if you're any other team in the NFL, are you sitting there just going like, okay, yeah, like we're doing the crazy girlfriend thing of just looking at him and going, I can fix him. The Steelers fixed him. I can fix this one.
I think the Bears as an organization have shown that they can take really good quarterbacks like Jay Cutler and
waste them away.
Yeah. And that's the magic of the Bears organization right now, is that they love to just waste talent and make bad deals. I don't know what the fuck their deal is, but man, any other organization really doesn't hold a candle to them in doing that.
You're going to have some cap space you're going to need to free up here, but like, what is your take on this?
So this was a win for both sides. Chicago got rid of their distraction, and Pittsburgh has the quarterback of the future. Fields needed that change of scenery out of Chicago. And I think I know people have been ragging on it in the media and everywhere else. Oh, Pittsburgh got, Justin Fields. What are they going to do with him? Personally, I think Justin Fields can be a competent starting quarterback in the National Football League, better than Kenny Pickett. He just needs the right coaching and the right development. And so if I'm Pittsburgh, I potentially have my quarterback for the future, and I don't have to worry about, having to spend draft capital on that position, and I can focus on other needs and build up other weaknesses on my team. So I think for Pittsburgh, it's a win. Chicago, look, sure, they got a 6th-round pick back for that. I don't think anyone who was looking at it realistically came to the conclusion that they were going to get a high pick for Fields. His market share dried up the minute Cousins went to Atlanta, and then everything else fell into place. I think a lot of people, especially the media, overvalued him when it came to a trade, and it's not shocking to me that he went as low as he did when it comes to pick value. But Chicago got what they wanted. They have a chance at a fresh start. But I don't think this is personally, I think they should have kept Fields and built around him and at least give him that 1 extra year along with Eberflus to see if they could have taken a next step. Essentially what you have now is you're going to have Caleb Williams come in and potentially have a new coach in year 2, having to learn a new different offensive system if they don't keep Shane Waldron as offensive coordinator and he goes on to greener pastures. So the Bears are going to find themselves in a position where it's back to square one because they have
again
quarterback who's going to be on another offensive coordinator, have to learn a different offensive system with a new coach. And they're going to find themselves in 3 years with the same problem they have with Fields because they don't want to commit to building around their quarterback. They don't want to commit to the long haul. And I'm predicting that. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be necessarily a bad quarterback. It's just not the right situation for him.
Oh yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, like 100% right.
Yeah,
because I mean that is their MO though, right? Because they've built this massive defense, or in theory, it hasn't really shown up recently, but it's there, and that's their whole point. Is we will stop the other team from moving the ball. Your job is to move the ball one more than them, and that's the mentality they've got. And then it's like, okay, you've got this fantastic weapon that can definitely move the ball, but you need to get them one extra wide receiver. And they're sitting there looking at it going,
think of it this way. They could have kept Justin Fields and drafted Marvin Harrison Jr., who's going to be a generational wide receiving talent. Probably the best we've seen come out of college since Randy Moss. Hot take. I'll stand by it. Instead, they decided to, do the obvious thing and just ship Fields off and hope that Caleb Williams is going to be the answer to their problems. And he's not.
Well, to kind of build off what you're saying, Psylocke, I 100% agree, because again, this is sort of the same thing again they did with Mitch Trubisky. It's the same thing they did before. And like, Justin Fields is not a bad quarterback. His stats don't look terrible. He's not like, fucking Zach Wilson or doing something like that. He's not a bad quarterback. The whole thing is that he has no support. He has no O-line. The biggest thing is also no O-line, which is huge. Because, you're just going to do Caleb Williams. I mean, he might get the Bryce Young treatment this year and just die behind that O-line, which is going to be something. But that's the biggest thing. It's just they're too impatient. The ownership seems to be way too impatient with stuff. And sometimes with quarterbacks, it pays to be a little bit more patient.
But this is it's not just a Bears thing, though. It's an NFL thing. Used to be back in the day, you would let quarterbacks sit for a year or even two and develop. Nowadays, you don't do that anymore. You toss them out into the fire because every GM is staking their job on the quarterback, developing and hitting on day one. And you're not going to find, Tom Brady in the draft or Patrick Mahomes in the draft. GMs have to accept that and accept that a lot of quarterbacks who come out need to sit for 1 year at minimum and learn the position. Yeah. So it's not just a Bears thing. It's a league-wide problem.
I feel like we're like a broken record because I think this is the same discussion we've had a couple of times, especially when comparing like, okay, how does Green Bay always magically have a quarterback that's just ready to go? Well, you have someone sit behind, a Hall of Fame quarterback. Guess what? They pick up a thing or two. Now I mean, granted, you could lose the lottery and the guy you got sitting behind your Hall of Fame quarterback ain't a Hall of Fame quarterback, but if they are a potential Hall of Fame quarterback caliber, you stick them behind a Hall of Fame quarterback, guess what? They're going to learn a thing or two. And then they're going to show up and they're going to be better than if you just threw them out there and was just like, please throw a ball good. That would be great.
Exactly. It's about supporting. That's the biggest thing.
I'll play devil's advocate here just a little bit.
Okay.
I think that the issue with this entire situation is the situation in itself. The fact that the Bears got the number 1 pick for the second year in a row via the Panthers. I'm so sorry, Carolina. It's kind of one of those situations where, considering the fact of how the media overhyped Caleb Williams to the point where if he doesn't go number 1, that's going to be considered a fireable offense if it goes well. This is a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation. And it sucks for Justin Fields because, yes, I do think he is an above average quarterback. As what I've been thinking, I do think that, like, when it comes to, like, they're kind of on the equal playing field to me. I think both of them can have the potential to do well depending on how things go, especially with the fact that you guys forgot that, like, they did get Keenan Allen as well via trade, the Bears, which, answers that, like, number 2, well, I guess number 1A, 1B type of, like, duo. So they have significantly improved their wide receiver room a little bit. So they're basically putting a lot of pressure on Caleb, because that's going to be the big thing about Caleb coming into the NFL because
if you got Fields, I mean, this goes back to, I guess, Silox's stuff, right? Like he was saying that, you know, there's a generational wide receiver there. I mean, that's like us going, Joe Burrow sucked the first year, and then we got Chase.
Yeah, but the thing about it is the fact that, like, at the end of the day, people value quarterback more than wide receiver. That's just straight up point blank period. It sucks that that's the case,
but it's close.
But that's how it is.
If you look at the numbers, though, like, I mean, the wide receiver position is the closest, I think, still to the quarterback position.
I'm not. But it's still not number one. That's the deal. And the fact that, like, since people will look at them crazy if they do the same thing twice in a row, and this time it worked for the team that traded up to get Caleb. That's the problem.
Well,
because, like,
I think it definitely look like that. The problem is that that's like, it's a very media focused way of looking at it. And it's a very stupid way of looking at it.
It is, but that's just kind of that's the name of the game, right? It's all about the perception. And right now, that is the perception. If you don't pick Caleb number 1, you're stupid. That's the perception right now.
Well, I don't. Well, that's the thing that they said last year is if you don't pick Bryce Young like number 1 overall last year, you're stupid. And hey, want to know what happened to the team that picked Bryce Young overall this year? It didn't fucking help them.
Well, the problem is they traded up for that.
Exactly.
That was like
screwed up.
Well, also there are mitigating circumstances with the Bryce Young thing. Like that team that's around him is just god awful. You could have thrown Tom Brady out there, and he would have put bad.
Yeah, and they downgraded in order to get Bryce. They got rid of DJ Moore. That's the problem. If DJ Moore was on that team, they probably would have done much better.
Oh, what I was saying was, you know, I think it's really dumb that Ryan Poles has to find himself in this position of he has to take a quarterback or else he's going to be stupid and potentially be fired. Like, the safest choice is to roll with Fields for 1 year, and if he's not the answer, goodbye, you kick him out. At the very least, you would have had draft capital to build up your team, so when you draft Quinn Ewers or whoever's the top quarterback next year, you know, there's an O-line around him. He has weapons to go to. So
isn't Fields also on or was on a rookie contract, right?
He's on his final year of his rookie contract. So, like,
it's the 5-year option though still available?
It's 5-year option, but at the same time,
the 5-year option is still available. But
so he has one more year.
You don't have to worry about cap space, so you get him for cheap.
Yeah.
But that's only for 1. They're basically resetting that. Essentially, it's just like, all right, we're banking on having a quote unquote more talented roster player coming out of college, and resetting that number before having to pay a chunk of money because like that 1 year $20 million for that 5th year option is only just 1 year. So he's gonna ask for a lot more money after that's said and done. So
I also think
you're making me like scratch my head right now. So I'm gonna do some research on the side here. So keep going, Con.
But I was just gonna say that, like, you know, look at the difference between the Bears team that was last year and this year. They did the safe choice this year. It didn't like try to get up to try to like get, I don't know, Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or whatever. And like again, this year the Bears 7-10 compared to like 15. That's good improvement. And I think that again, if you do that again and you just build a good team around it, the problem is that everyone wants instant results, and people don't like the fact that there's not instant results, and fans especially don't.
I do agree with Silux that this is kind of a win-win situation on both sides because, like, absolutely. I don't know why some people thought that, oh yeah, they can just keep Fields and then put in Caleb. That is the dumbest thing you would ever do, and your locker room would be toxic real freaking quick. So,
no, I mean, I do think that they should have gotten the wide receiver for Fields, but like again, then you're now squandering 2 NFL talents that really have a higher ceiling, and you're squandering them because you've signed them both to the Bears. Like that's my take on it. Now, granted, Bears fans, all of you, I suppose, can be mad at me. That's fine because I'm the host, so I get to talk about the Bengals.
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, go for it.
Go for it, man. I'm very curious to see what you have to say about them.
The Bengals.
I don't think that we did terribly during free agency. Granted, we have at least 2 lines. It looks like a 3rd line has developed with Brown now because we have 2 holes that are glaringly obvious and that haven't been filled as part of free agency, but we filled a lot of them, and we brought back Von Bell, which I was super excited about. Like Von Bell was the quarterback of the defense for us. You know, he was the guy that was like, we're hosting defense only meetings. We're going over film together. I'm making sure these kids sit there and watch it. That was a big part of our Super Bowl run. And we desperately missed him last year because you could watch games and see when the defense was just like, well, you know, we're up 2 scores. We're done.
So how are you feeling about him demanding a trade?
I can talk a lot about this. So, which is the whole reason why the Bengals stuff was in there anyway, because like the Bengals organization's already put, like, I don't know if you've been following, you probably haven't because it's the Bengals, but their Twitter posted out there. It's like, you know, at this point, the free agency discussion has basically just evolved into my friend at Kroger, and I can't tell you how accurate that statement is.
All I gotta say is I am perfectly fine with the Jaguars getting T. Higgins. That's my personal input.
Everyone's fine with getting T, but he's staying at home.
I don't know. I heard from my guy at Kroger that he's staying to go to the Jaguars. So.
Well, no, it's the Jaguars. So you got to hear it from your friend at Publix. Come on, stay properly regional. Yeah, because like what's been going on is, you know, people have been posting stuff that like, oh hey, I saw Chase and like JJ. They were out like they were out in Cincinnati and they were getting, you know, steaks together or whatever. And it's like, bro, like. Chase is in freaking Mexico right now. So no, it's all rumor mill nonsense. The thing is that T's agent is really big about guaranteed contracts. And we are notoriously skittish about guaranteed contracts. And so this is kind of a by T's agent. And it's very common. Like we've already gone through it a couple of years in a row because he's represented several other Bengals players. And like the whole thing is like, no, you've been tagged. We don't trade. We don't. Like it's like you think about like the most conservatively ran, you know, front office. Like that is us. Like, okay, we've tagged you because we want you on our team next year. We're not tagging you so that we can trade you for draft capital and or for anything else under the sun. It doesn't matter. Like someone could come in and like just offer us up, you know, a Super Bowl winning team, and we're like, no, we're not going to do that because that's not how we work. It's the same thing with the accounting. If you look at our accounting, we don't play all the fun accounting games where we don't like kick things down the road. It's very straightforward. This is how much money we have to spend. This is how much we're going to spend. And then we're going to carry over this. And then this is how it's going to go. It's just kind of this very nose to the grindstone kind of way of doing football. And that's just the way that we've been. It's worked out sometimes. It hasn't worked out before. It's just the way that our system works. Specifically, the agent in question is looking for. He's really big on guaranteed money, and us tagging him was our way of saying we're willing to spend the money, but you gotta negotiate a little bit with this because we're sitting here saying we are guaranteeing you the tag money, which I think is $26 million on a wide receiver. You're guaranteed that for this year. There's your guaranteed money. Come back to the table. Got a great defensive ad from the Ravens, and I'm thrilled. So we've gone shopping on the defense side, if you haven't noticed. And now it's just a matter of shoring up. There's 2 holes right now that are left on offense, and we've taken some guys out to Jeff Ruby's, which if you have no idea what that is, you're not from the area, that's fine. But it's like it's a decent steak place in Cincinnati, and we've wine and dined some of them, and then we've got our eyes on some of the folks in the trade. But for some reason, we also spent time talking to Bo Nix, and I'm a little confused on that one.
Restaurant? Did you have Skyline Chili?
I'm a long time Bengals fan, okay, but I am not from Cincinnati, and I'm treading very carefully on this. But if someone invites you to go try the chili, it's like someone from Chicago saying you must try the Malort.
Hey, I've tried Malort from Chicago. It was pretty good.
Oh, your taste buds are broken. You'd love Skyline.
Malort is disgusting. It is disgusting.
I don't know what any of these are because I am from the South, so yay.
Never tried Malort.
Skyline Chili is a bunch of chili put on some spaghetti.
Oh yeah.
Which is also overrated.
bad spaghetti. Like it's if you put it on top of hot dogs and you cover it with cheese, it's fine. It's fine as a hot dog topping. And like Cincinnati natives, please don't show up with pitchforks and try to murder me. Like it's great as a hot dog topping. It is awful on whatever it is that you call spaghetti because they just overboil their spaghetti and then they put it on that and it's soupy and it's not good.
I did want to talk about Jags free agency. The big one is that we did lose Calvin Ridley. I was a little bit sad about that because it looked like we might be able to keep him, but then he went to the Titans and then he got like a $50 million deal, and I was really a lot less sad about losing him for $50 million because he's a good QB.
Yeah, Titans have been spending some money.
Fuck me.
Oh, yeah.
No, Calvin Ridley is a good wide receiver. $50 million, like most of that guaranteed, that's steep. Yet he did okay last season, but he really did not warrant that much. I'm much happier with getting Gabe Davis, getting the center from Buffalo as well. That was needed. I'm not too like unhappy with like as much as I love to hate Trent Baalke. He's been doing fine. This free agency has done anything stupid. And just like yeah, pretty much it's just been the Gabe Davis trade, which is pretty good. It has been the Mac Jones. We got Mac Jones for like a ham sandwich, so like it doesn't matter. I think that it would have been great to have him and Gabe Davis, or hell, him and T. Higgins. That would have been insane. Is what it is. We're getting Christian Kirk back next year. I'm not too worried about it.
Washington has decided to buy a football team for once.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, it's a good move. They're building a foundation for the future. Again, people looked at it and either laughed at it or said, "Oh, same old Washington, spending big on free agents." But they didn't really spend. They didn't really break the bank.
Yeah,
I think people have this perception from the Snyder era that Washington only goes out and spins big on over the hill people, but not in this case. They got solid talent that they're going to use as a foundation for the future, and I can't really ding them on anything that they did in free agency. I know people are saying, "Well, why'd you sign Austin Eckler?" Austin Eckler's a really damn good running back. In my opinion, a top 10 running back. That's just me, but
I think at least in my opinion, I think he's a little bit overrated. I honestly like Brian Robinson, who's been on the Commanders for a while. I like him more than that.
That's fair. And no, that's
well.
that's
hang on, but like again, if you're doing running backs, you want running back by committee anyway. So if you can sneak in a top 10 running back into that. Yes, go
Absolutely.
ahead. It build some friends to go along with him, and guess what? You're going to be unstoppable on the ground.
It's a great foundation. They need to hit on their draft picks in April, or whenever the draft is. But if they do that, it's not out of the realm of possibility. We see them in contention for a wild card spot. Like this is a really good free agency for them. I can't ding them on anything.
It's been like I would say that like so I mean obviously like I'm angry, but like Pittsburgh gets number 1 spot I think for what they've done in free agency. Number 2 is definitely Washington. Like and it's close between those two on who I think made the best moves, because I mean like Pittsburgh's already a complete team, and so you're just giving them the pieces that they're missing.
I wouldn't say that.
But I think Washington has made some waves to show that they're here to play. They're ready to make. I'm agreeing with Silex that I think as long as their X's and O's are good, they are a scary dark horse for making a wild card spot.
Well, I think also with the Commanders, the biggest thing that I'm looking at them is like for me. Free agency is kind of still out there. I think they got a lot of good players. The problem is I think they got a lot of older players for like decent contracts, and I'm worried about that. The thing that really is going to make or break it is what they do in the draft. I think how they play their draft is really going to make or break how good their team is going to be next year.
Minnesota to Darnold.
I mean, bridge quarterback. We know what they're doing in the draft. They're taking a quarterback. But
Yes.
I'm not sure who. I know all signs are saying they're really in love with JJ McCarthy, which says a lot about their front office and their scouting. But
They also took Darnold.
Oof.
So, it is what it is.
Well, I feel like part of that's just because Kirk Cousins was there, and like everyone thought Kirk Cousins was the guy for the Vikings, and now apparently the front office didn't think that.
it may turn out in their quest to keep Justin Jefferson, they're going to lose him anyway because obviously Cousins wanted a guaranteed contract, and the GM in Minnesota came out and said they were not going to give him a guaranteed contract. That was not going to happen.
Right.
So they made the right move to ship him off to Atlanta, but in doing so, you've angered potentially Justin Jefferson, and who knows if he wants to stick around for a rebuild. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out, what they do with that. But I would be shocked if Justin Jefferson is around. By hot take, I think he gets traded this offseason. I don't know when that will happen, but I don't think we're going to see him on their roster by the time training camp starts.
Talk about Cousins going down to Hotlanta.
Yeah.
Cousins, because I actually think this is a really good move for you guys.
So, yeah, I like from what I remember saying before, because it's been a minute since I last watched it. From what I remember saying prior was that like I did had a preference for Fields over Cousins simply because the fact that while yes, Cousins is more established, he does have that injury history / he's up there in age. Like this would be his last contract at this point. And I was concerned about that in particular. But I think at the end of the day, I do think that like it's not my preferred choice, but I can understand it, right? And the reason why I understand it is because the fact that you have dealt with the mystery for the past few years with Marcus Mariota, that flopped completely. Desmond Ridder completely flopped. And of course, Taylor Heineke, which is now looking like he is going to be our number 2 guy instead of him, since obviously Ridder's not on the team anymore. He flopped. So really though, I think that like at the end of the day, while I don't think that this is going to be like as good, this puts the Falcons in like Super Bowl contention, I do think that this would be a move that'll be like, all right, cool. People will probably consider the Falcons favorite to win the South with this move.
So you think it's like a stabilizing move?
Yeah, it's a stabilizing move that can that essentially gives that it's really like one of those things where like, all right, now it's on our weapons to play as well as we hope them to be because of the incompetent quarterback play and with a side of incompetent play calling. Depending on like who you talk
that's
to.
What I was just about to say. I was about to be like, you don't have to worry about Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson riding the bench anymore because our bad man Arthur Smith is gone.
So that's kind of like the combination, right? And for me, like I was thinking more so of like, all right, I don't want to be like, you know, a good team for like the next couple of years before we have to move on to another quarterback. I was thinking of, okay, I'd rather go ahead and go for the long term. That was just my thing about it of what it is. But for what this move is, I can understand why they went this route because it is stability and Kirk Cousins is, you know, I think like unquestioned probably the best quarterback in free agency. That's like, you know, out of everybody in the group.
You realize how hard this is for me, right?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So
I just want to watch you squirm. That's all. That's why I put
as much as I hate to see the Falcons have success,
of course,
I will give credit where credit is due. For once, they've made a great move. Signing Kirk Cousins instantly vaults them into the best team in the NFC South ahead of Tampa, and they are favorites to win the division. They're going to have a loaded offense with Kirk Cousins, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and I'm probably missing a few other people, Bijan Robinson. So you're looking at a team that is realistically going to be in the hunt for an NFC title. On paper, you're the best team in the NFC South, but you still have to play the games. There's 17 of them. Can they put it together consistently on a weekly basis? That remains to be seen. And can they shake off this idea that they're, perennial chokers? That has to be exercised.
And at worst, they can hang the banner in Atlanta and be like, "We had a good free agency in 2024." So I mean that's kind of like a win.
They don't really have any other banners hanging up there, I don't think. So.
Well, they can have
okay.
NFC finalists.
brother. You serious right now? Come on now. Let's keep it real.
Saints fan wins one ring is insufferable.
That's just kind of how it is. As much as we really need that pass rush, I don't think there really is anyone that you can be in love with pass rush wise to be like, yeah, we'll go for him, right? So, like, I think considering the best player available in the draft has always been our go-to, I would not be surprised if they decide to go wide receiver this year. And if they do that, this might be a top 5 offense. The offense is probably going to be a lot scarier depending on how things go.
Aaron Donald is done.
Going to be known as the GOAT, one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT, when it comes to the defensive tackle position. He really kind of changed the position to be seen as a more serious position to look into.
All I'm saying is I was just I'm just sad that he he stayed in 2 years too long. Like he should have retired 2 years earlier. I was just glad that he restructured his contract and that the team restructured it so that he got the big payday before he left. And then they were just like, "Hey, thanks so much. Here's your pile of cash."
Hell yeah.
Sayonara. And it was one of the big things I wanted to put in there. Now we're finally out of free agency. Now we get into the meat and potatoes of the show.
Oh boy.
Because there's lots of fun things to talk about here. So, Cy, do you want to talk about like accounting magic on the Chiefs side first, or do you just want to go full ham into the Saints?
I swear to God, this happens every single free agency. I see it on Twitter. How the Saints have all this money to sign people? I thought they were $93 million and under the cap.
85, but
I don't care what Mickey Loomis does. He finds a way to make magic. Okay, it's called kicking the can down the road. Mm-hmm. It's called putting it on credit card and worrying about it later. This is someone else's problem.
Cap must go up.
All right. The cap goes up every year. The cap is not real. You can manipulate the cap to your advantage if you know what the hell you're doing. At least we sign people. At least we're not Dallas, whose highlight was signing their long snapper. So I'll take it.
They might get to sign 2 people this free agency. We don't know. Oh. All right. So I have like it's just mind blowing because like literally 2 weeks ago they were almost 100 million in debt. The whole point is the Saint Voodoo accounting is amazing, and because again they were negative 85 and now they're positive 15 still, because I was like, is the entire Saints locker room just couches that they could just like dump out onto the floor and just find pennies? The second half of this is the Chiefs, because Mahomes has restructured his contract again, because if you're not familiar with Mahomes' weird ass contract, it's a rolling contract, and the whole point is everything they give him a raise, they just roll it on down. So they know that by the time like Mahomes is done, so like it would be the same thing if the Patriots decided like when Brady is no longer able to win the Super Bowl, he'll retire and we will be terrible for a while. Instead of what the Patriots actually did, which he could still win 1 or 2 more, and we're going to cut him, but we'll still be terrible. But yes, he got a pay raise and he's moved more money on down. And I hate them because they had no weapons at all this year and still won a freaking Super Bowl.
We all figured they were going to be on their 2007 Patriots arc and sign Mike Evans. That didn't happen. But they still got him weapons, like a true number 1. So
Hollywood proud. Kidding.
For his contract is moved further on down the line. So in the event that the cap doesn't go up for a year, which we have seen that, it creates a problem for the team and they have to start cutting people. Would you have rather had a shitty team 10 years down the road, but a couple Super Bowls now? Yeah, I'll take that. I'm pretty sure there's not many fan bases that wouldn't take that trade. Now they'll forget about that decision to make that trade later on, when they're sitting there trying to fire their Hall of Fame coach. But that is a thing.
So Tony is still on the team. I don't know if he'll make it, out of camp though.
They are now threatening to move the stadium again, or move the team.
From Kansas City to Kansas City.
It was built in 1972, so it is
Okay, then that makes
there
sense.
with one of the oldest in the league.
The whole thing came in last year was that they were promised a new locker room. And what came out was you guys went too far in the preseason. And so this is all you get. You get new chairs. It's one of those games, right? Because granted, the Bengals locker room, it's getting redone right now. And it was one of the big contentious items. But I find it really weird that you're just like, well, you went too far in the preseason. We couldn't get started till January. How long does it take to redo a freaking locker room?
No municipality should be paying for a stadium. The Clark family or the Hunt family, whatever. Yeah, the Hunt family, I think that's who owns they're probably worth billions. They could liquidate assets and build a new stadium if they wanted to. Practically every NFL owner now is a billionaire. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't, as, not to pontificate, as taxpayers, be funding stadiums, funding upgrades with our own tax money. Make them pay for it. And if you've noticed what they've been doing now, a lot of these owners, what they've been doing now is they're trying now to compete jurisdictions against each other.
Yeah, they're trying to hold all these people hostage. If you're an organization, your team should only have to pay for X amount of your stadium, or there's a cap on how much your city can pay for it.
If your city's paying for a football team, hey, you know what? You should probably earmark certain percentage of your profits to your city.
To helping out the city and stuff like that. That's the other thing, is that it's just a thing where there's if there was more regulation and more oversight, we'd be fine.
From a financial standpoint, it doesn't make sense for a billionaire to pay out of their own pocket unless they want to own their own stadium. Unless you want to be Stan Kroenke and own SoFi, sure. But if you want to enter into some kind of agreement and let the city, own it and you maintain it or whatever, because I know not every stadium is like that. Some stadiums, the city owns it. It's really weird. Unless you want to own your own stadium outright, like Kroenke does in LA, sure. But it makes sense to them to have the tax, the fans, the city, the state pay for it. The Bills got a sweetheart deal from the state of New York. People in Suffolk County, New York, and Long Island are paying for a stadium out in Buffalo. It's not fair, but an owner realizes, well, how are you going to look letting the Buffalo Bills leave the state? You have to think like they do and understand why they do stuff like this. And, no one wants to be the governor of a state that says, oh, geez, I let the hometown favorite team just up and walk away, unless it's the Raiders, because I don't think anybody really got upset that the Raiders left.
Well,
hang on before you get Con. So yes, there were people very much that are upset about the Raiders leaving. Also, yes, Cleveland might have lost a Brown or two. And I bet you that they would like their Brown Gen 1 back. Also, the Colts, they used to be the Baltimore Colts. So there was that. I mean, there are teams that it's a financial hit to the city. They're always playing the game. I don't know. Our relationship with the stadium, whatever it is, and the team, I think it's a fair one. But again, it's the Bengals. So
well, didn't Mike Brown leave Hamilton County on the hook for a lot of those renovations, or was it the stadium construction? I don't know the name of the stadium.
So they get a huge collection of like the tax revenue and stuff from everything that's within a certain range of the stadium. And in return, there are certain caveats that are built into the contract. So like the size of the jumbotron, like they can't have like the below average jumbotron size. And if it goes below the average NFL jumbotron size, the county has to pay for it. Like it's a weird thing. There's a lot of that's in play. Now, granted, I'm on the other side of the river, so like, yes, absolutely, make the Ohioans pay for it.
Oh my god!
But also, I'm also the one that's actually going to games, and so I don't really know how that comes into play. But at the same time, like it's a joint venture, and they do a really good job of working together with the city. And it's been a couple of years, and then the Browns were like, "Hey, like here's what our contract says, and we have not fallen just to this threshold, but we are like so far behind it. It's time." And like they've done a pretty good job of working with the city, it just being reasonable on our part. So that's all I got on that. So you think your quarterback has problems? Rodgers is on the short list for a VP.
I really hope
finally.
that happens. It'd be the funniest thing imaginable.
Aaron Rodgers and Kennedy on a ticket together. The only thing that's nuttier than that ticket would be like a payday factory tour. We are not going to politics outside of the fact that this is a stupid decision on anyone's part, and the fact that Rodgers has had to specifically walk back stupid shit that he said, and you can leave that in there because this is under context, Lexi. Because he's a nutter.
All I gotta say is that it's safe to say that his brain should be studied for CTE when, he sadly moves on from life. But I will say that if I would not be very happy about this because, like, for some reason, he keeps getting distracted from the most silliest of things, the dumbest of things. He just needs to focus on his health, and trying to finish the season, because that's what really a lot of Jets fans are just wanting. Just finish a season. That's all they want. And I'm just tired of seeing Aaron Rodgers' discourse for the dumbest of reasons.
So I have seen that it has been noted that he is supposedly married now, and he's supposed to be considered as married. But it's in that way, that weird same verbiage that he was using when he was like, well, yes. Are you vaccinated? Well, I'm immune. So are you married or not? Like, are you vaccinated? Like, what's going on there, Rodgers? Like, could you be more specific? Well, I can't, because that would just be.
Aaron Rodgers is a distraction.
Oh,
And
yes.
if the Jets had any common sense, they would have cut his ass yesterday.
If the Jets had common sense, they wouldn't be the Jets.
For real.
Let's be honest.
But Aaron Rodgers has a track record now of saying and doing things that cause unnecessary distractions to him. He needs to be focusing on being an NFL player, not trying to be on RFK Jr.'s presidential ticket, not out here making statements, walking back horrific comments made about Sandy Hook, not out here claiming he's immunized, not out here trying to start beef with Jimmy Kimmel, not out here on Pat McAfee's show spinning whatever he's spinning. If you want to smoke ayahuasca and do dark retreats in the off season, that's fine. But when it comes time to play,
Don't do it in front of the cameras.
when it comes time to focus and on doing your job correctly, you need to focus. Otherwise, retire. He has become the one thing he said he doesn't want. Why does the media pick on me? Why do they create a distraction? Sir, you are the distraction. Everywhere you go, every time you open your mouth, you cause a distraction. If you don't want to play football, that's okay. You have nothing more to prove. You have nothing left to prove. Retire. Quit. But
He's
if
got a
you
ring.
do want to play football, if that's what you want to do, get your head in the game, Stop focusing on the tabloids. Stop trying to, put your name out there for attention. Because I really think the man wants attention. I personally think he's a lonely person and he craves attention. Because outside of football, he has nothing going on in his life. I really think that. But if that's your prerogative, retire. Don't
Pretty
play
much.
football. Stop pissing Jets fans off. Don't give them false hope. Otherwise, do your job. Shut the hell up. Stop saying stupid shit because it's really annoying at this point. Not only for Jets fans, but for regular NFL fans. Like, of all the things we have to listen to, hearing about Aaron Rodgers potentially being someone's VP candidate, it's funny at first, but then when you think about it, it's kind of annoying. Why are we doing this? It's an NFL quarterback. Like, who cares?
It's not annoying. It's terrifying.
Like,
it's literally someone who's gotten hit in the head too many times that you're just like, well, yeah, like in the event that like this other crazy person who doesn't believe in science dies, it's just going to take over. Oh, wonderful.
Like, again, it's funny at first, but when you start to think about it, you're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't entertain stupidity like this. Maybe it's time to stop giving him the platform and the likes and validation he so much craves.
Well, he also gets money from it. Like, he's getting money from football, but at the same time, he's not getting that attention that he wants. Like, if he played, like, for the Jets and played, like, okay or shitty, he'd get some attention, but it wouldn't be, like, all this stuff about, like, how much of he's a brave whatever. He wants the attention, one. I also think that he also just, in general, is going to make a little more side cash if he does things that are provocative, and that's part of the reason why he also does that.
Well, I mean, the part that's crazy is it's literally like because like this is the best analogy I can think of. If someone sat there and was like, you know what, who would be a great vice president? Biff from Back to the Future. Like,
oh no,
yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. It's like, no. Like, would Biff be a good vice president? No, he's the clear bad guy. But they've just lost the lenses. Well, he just speaks the truth. It's like, does he speak the truth, or does he just happen to have the almanac? This is right there.
Look, all I gotta say is he's essentially the quarterback version of AB. That's just kind of all it is. He's just a quarterback version of Antonio Brown at this point, and the only reason why we pay attention to him is because the fact that he does have the resume that he has in the NFL. That's the only reason why. Like, we haven't just said, man, shut up, you idiot, get out of here. And
we also like a good train wreck is the other thing.
That is also true.
I mean, yes, but at the same time, at this point, like we've all suffered through the train wreck, and we're all sitting here looking at this going, oh, this could get worse.
I gotta say, if we want to move, do you guys want to move on to the last topic about Dak? Honestly, I haven't heard a lot about this allegation. I wouldn't be surprised, but also at the same time, it seems like Dak and everyone's been pretty quiet about it. There's that one initial story.
Let me go ahead and set the context up. So, for those of you that aren't aware, there has been an essay allegation against Dak, and it has come up to light because there has been also an allegation against the person that is suggesting the essay allegation for a blackmail of $100 million.
Oh my God. Oh man.
So, and if you don't know who Dak is, all I'm saying is that is future Browns quarterback with a sky-high, fully guaranteed contract, Dak Prescott. It's all I'm saying on that part. But no, there's been a lot of information on this, and in fact, I was doing a bunch of research earlier today on this. So I actually found the article where the supposed incident had taken place, and while if you go to the actual address that is provided by the news articles and the police reports, it is an abandoned office building. But if you actually go to the street view of it, hey, guess what? It's a strip club. So, I'm not saying it did or didn't happen. Like, I'm not passing judgment and I'm not taking sides in this, but there is that. And also, I am not against the idea because Dak just signed I think it was what, $59 or $60 million a year contract, right, with Dallas. So I'm not against the fact that, Jerry Jones was looking at like some old Bugs Bunny cartoons and thinking like, hey, here's an idea. Just dress up there and drag, and that way I don't have to pay that money. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, so Dak's in some troubles.
I mean, that's kind of ironic given that Jerry Jones also has a paternity suit out against him.
Is right.
Yeah, it's
So
funny.
it's
Right.
What if Jerry Jones finds out that he's actually Dak's dad?
Oh,
that would be.
I don't want to think about that. I don't want to think about that.
How old
I don't wanna
Dak?
think about that.
Is okay. Let's find out how old Dak is first.
It's like finding out that
Jerry Jones is Dak Prescott's daddy. So
Stop, please.
it's like finding.
Please.
It's on the same level of finding out that Rey is related to Palpatine and realizing someone did the do with Palpatine. Like,
well, no,
it's
technically he
hard
tried
to
to
think
clone
about.
himself.
well, we've already found the Rey. Like that was covered in like the last cast. So we've got Rey that's currently like Rey, growing up there,
trying to get her money. That paternity suit.
No, she's not even trying to get her money. She just wants him to acknowledge it so she can run for politics. Like that's like the worst part, right? And she's like, I just want to be in politics. Why? It doesn't matter. I just want to do the good thing and be in politics. Okay. What do you need? My dad to say that I'm his kid.
Oh my God.
Well, who's your dad? Oh. Like the one who has like the Jerry World? That one. Yeah.
Jerry. Look, I would love to see Jerry Jones in a Jerry Springer episode. That would be funny. That would be amazing. You
He would strike it down for copyright because there can only be one Jerry, and it's him.
It's very unfortunate that this is happening, like just in general, not just for Dak, because any kind of like the topic of SA is very uncomfortable to talk about.
We're not speculating on whether or not she is correct or not.
Yeah,
all I was stating was the facts that she was asking for $100 million.
Yes,
in blackmail from her, and that was it.
If it is true, I do hope she gets the bag. Obviously, but it is kind of one of those like wait and see. I feel like that this probably won't get settled until the year after. It really just depends also like if the NFL is going to pull the same thing to Dak what they did with Deshaun. That's just kind of the big question right now. Are they going to suspend him for a long period of time?
Well, if they're going the Deshaun route, like it's not going to get settled for at least another 2 years because the Browns don't have cap space. So
well, I think with Watson it was at that point they decided to pull the trigger. There was multiple instances piling up. Like this is just one case, and I don't know who's right or wrong in this situation. I'm not going to pass judgment, but I'm sure the league has been in touch with Jerry Jones and someone from Dak's camp about it. But I would be shocked at this point. Yeah, I would be shocked at this point if they're even considering doing the same thing that they did to Deshaun. That was a special case where you had multiple people coming out almost daily saying, this is what happened. And they had to act at that point. Like Josh Brent, if you remember Josh Brent, he killed a person in a drunk driving accident. He was allowed to be on the field like during the Cowboys game, like the day after that happened. Like, granted, he wasn't an important NFL player, but that still happened. Like, the league is very inconsistent with how they hand out punishment.
So it's really kind of one of those situations are they going to be consistent for once? Or are they going to continue to write the same script and just do like a light little tap and then everyone's going to get mad about it? That's just kind of what the gist of the situation is.
Well, no, they're going to decide whether or not how much it impacts their brand, and that will be the decision on the course they take.
Plus and Dallas, so you already know that plays a factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Jerry Jones is anything controversial that has happened within the last, 48 months. Some of the stuff that happened that occurred within the last 48 months happened 48 years ago. Yes.
Jerry's not beating those allegations. That's all I'm saying.
There's
you know.
There are pictures there, and he's like, "Oh no, I was just confused because I was told that I needed." It's like, no, you were there on those steps.
Yep. Saying awful words. You know what you were doing, Jerry.
He's been on the wrong side of history more times than apparently he's been on the wrong side of paternity suits. All right, so thanks so much for listening to the Jersey Tales. If you happen to enjoy us, please like, comment, subscribe, or if we're on a different medium at this point, please continue to listen to us because we love it when other people listen to us talk about the sports.
Baseball.
Boy.
Yay, sports.
So on that topic is like Houday and things. And bye.